is only war.
What is up, gents? 40k Dirtbags here. We're doing another how-to guide. This is going to be a transports tactics video. So I've been wanting to do this for a while. If you guys are new to the channel, definitely appreciate the click on. If you guys are a dirtbag, you know how I think about rhinos. So this is going to be all about transports, tactics, what to do with them, how to utilize them, what's going to be the best strategies to kind of play your game with these different types of transports. We're going to be going over some drop claw transports, some storm raven transports, some land raider transports, some rhino transports, and all the other Xeno transports that you guys will be bringing. I don't play those armies, but if you use these strategies to your advantage, it's going to help you out in the long run. So let's first start off. Again, let's get into the Patreons. You guys are fucking awesome. Thank you for joining the Patreons and supporting the channel. If you guys like these videos, go check out some more videos on the channel. There's a lot of more how-to guides coming up. Also, the battle reports, they keep upgrading with the cameras, with the lighting, with the gimbals. All that's thanks to you guys on Patreons. If you guys want to go join the Discord goes over a lot of shit, a lot of information. Everybody helps each other out. And also the merch, there's a lot of stuff that we just partnered up with 3D6 Wargaming. Those guys are making our objective markers. There's a lot of custom objective markers on their website from the Dirtbag Nation. Make sure you click in the link below. And also the dice, Dirtbag dice, they roll fucking hot. Those are awesome. So if you guys want to get some of those, definitely hit me up on Discord. And also stickers. Stickers go with the dice. All the things are paid through 40k Dirtbags. Went on to Fiverr, got an artist. He's drawing all the stuff. So it's all of our artwork. So if you guys are interested in that, definitely hit me up in Discord. So with the video, I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible. There's going to be a lot of how-to stuff in the video and just kind of ideas on what you should be doing and how you should be using your transports to the best capacity that you possibly can. So enjoy. Here's the transports. All right, so we're going to be going over some different ideas on all of this stuff that you see in front of me. There's going to be a lot of juicy information about transports. This is a fucking weird camera angle. Hopefully this doesn't bug you out like it does me. All right, so we got the Storm Raven. That's just an example. We have one Rhino, which is going to be like a little tiny Rhino. We have a Razorback, which is also a transport vehicle. We have a regular Rhino, regular size Rhino. We have a Drop Claw, which can be used very effectively. And we have a fucking Land Raider that in 10th edition it might be insane. And then we have a whole bunch of regular units over here. We have some characters, and then we have some terrain features that we're going to be using. So first off, why even bring a Rhino or a transport? It's a metal box that is going to be transporting your guys to safety. Who the fuck targets a Rhino? So when there's so many other juicy targets to target, people aren't really going to be looking at your Rhino and being like, oh my god, I have to kill that Rhino 100%. Most of the time, it's like, all right, I'll shoot the Rhino because I have nothing else to shoot at. But if you don't give them line of sight to your Rhino, you're good. Example, let's get rid of that. If I'm putting my Rhino against this wall in this terrain feature, you can't see it. All right, even a normal size Rhino, you're putting this, and this is legal size, by the way. Normal size Rhino, you should be able to fit it. I'm putting it against the wall or in the terrain feature 1 inch away from the wall. You can't see it. The advantage of having a Rhino like this is you get that extra 3-inch movement outside of the Rhino to then move you guys out and charge something. So obviously with the Grey Knights, they get 15 inches move with their interceptors. But the first thing is, like, why bring a Rhino is because it protects your units, especially if you have a 10-man infantry unit that you really want to get into combat, or you want to be able to hop out and charge or shoot something. So what I do is the interceptors I always bring a Rhino with the interceptors because they're my go out and touch something in a bad way unit, so that way they can hop out 15 inches and go charge something. For Chaos, you can have like a unit of Legionnaires, 2 units of Legionnaires, a unit of 10 Chosen because they're all the Legionnaire bodies. You can put those in Rhinos and have a 10-man just launch out of a Rhino and just fucking murder whatever's on the other side of the table. With Death Guard, almost the same exact thing. With Death Guard, I like to put 2 5-man units. You can't combat squad, I wish you could, but you put 2 5-man units on a Rhino so that way 1 5-man unit can go off to that objective and spread, 1 5-man unit can go off and kill something else, and you can just add more units to the Rhino that just got emptied. So if this Rhino is right here, let's say it's a Death Guard Rhino, you can have your insanely malignant plaguecaster be the kamikaze, launch, like run out of the Rhino, do his mortal wound bomb plague skull, and then cast a Curse of Leper, and then cast a smite all at the like same phase, again before 10th edition. But you just basically launch him out of the Rhino super far, like 14 inches, and then you just throw everything at the character that you're trying to kill, the unit that doesn't have a mortal wound save, and that guy is going to be insane starting inside of a Rhino. Without that, he literally just he just is outside of Rhino, he just walks 5, maybe runs 7. So he's getting to here instead of getting all the way across the table to kill whatever he wants to kill. So the first thing you're going to be seeing is basically the Rhino. Why would people shoot it? Is because you're giving them just a free Rhino. I would definitely start my Rhino behind cover, behind a terrain feature like this. So that way it's at least harder to get an angle on to shoot your Rhino. So that's the first thing, is make sure the Rhino is protected. Then you can always move it out, do whatever you got to do, right? So that's that. Let's go over blocking charges. So if you have a unit coming at you, let's say these guys are, they're coming at me. I know they're really good in combat. They're getting really close. I can use my Rhino to block a charge lane. So if this Rhino wants to move up and get kind of in between these two buildings right here, and then you have some infantry on this side, and then you have some infantry over here, or if not, they have to run around the Rhino, or they can't even get through because the infantry is blocking behind this wall here. And they can't get to your juicy stuff. Let's say your character's right here. So I'm using the Rhino to block charge lanes. They have to walk around the Rhino, and they can't come within 1 inch. So when people are measuring, make sure you're precise about this. So they can't come within 1 inch of your Rhino. So when he's moving up 6 inches. Let's say he gets to here. He still can't be within 1 inch of your Rhino. If your Rhino is here, you have to make sure that he has to either go back behind this wall or go out further, which would be more than 7 inches. So it's just the basic rules. Rhinos have that same rule where they can't come within 1 inch of your model. So if that's a vehicle, right? Let's say this guy is a vehicle that's charging you. Say it's a big monster dude, right? He can't even fucking get through this building because it's 2 buildings. He can't fit through any part of this because your Rhino is blocking it. And he either has to charge the Rhino and kill the Rhino to then move through it, or he's got to charge and just be roadblocked by the Rhino. So a good tactic with any transport, that once it's done its job, you basically can just throw it out and just block charge lanes, block movement, block whatever you have to do, block the objective, right? So block him from getting onto the objective. So anything that the Rhino can do to block charge lanes is going to be its goal after it's done its job. So by turn 3, maybe 4, when it's not really doing anything, there's nothing really to transport anymore, he's then just running around seeing what the fuck he can cause havoc with by blocking different units from out of the game. Another good tool you can do with the Rhino is blocking out the backfield. So this one model can basically block out 9 inches for you without putting a unit back here. So basically he's holding the objective, right? He's towing the objective, and he's blocking out any deep strike that can come from here all the way around to there. So basically all of this is blocked out of deep strike because of this one Rhino. So you can basically put this Rhino at least 9 inches away from the back corner, and then 9 inches away from this corner right here, 9 inches away from that corner right there. So this Rhino is doing so much work just for being in this back field, blocking out deep striking. So if he did his job by transporting and launching his units forward, whether it be interceptors or whatever, then he's done. So now you can kind of just back here, turn 2, and block out the backfield. If you have anybody inside it, they can kind of just be chilling without being shot or worried about being shot. If they do, usually when the Rhino's in the backfield like this, they're not shooting the Rhino. The Rhino can be, for Death Guard, could be your one unit that's going to count for the end game objective. So in this quarter, your Rhino has it. So your Rhino is giving contagion to this objective and is blocking that backfield, and it has this quarter. So basically your Rhino's doing all of that just by being in this thing. Your other units can then go out and spread and do whatever they got to do while your Rhino is camping out the backfield, holding the backfield objective. So Rhino can block out the backfield and hold the backfield objective. But let's add to that, let's add a Lookout Sir model to that. So the Rhino is now giving Lookout Sir to your character. Let's say your character is 3 inches away from the Rhino, right about up to here. So he's casting, putting out buffs everywhere. The Rhino's protecting the backfield. He's now giving Lookout Sir to this guy. So if another unit is all the way up here, and this vehicle's here, and the unit is, let's say, here, the unit can't shoot at my guys because of the Lookout Sir, so he has to target the closest model, which is just the Lookout Sir rule. So this guy's being Lookout Sir from the Rhino, who's then protecting the backfield, who's controlling the objective, who's getting your secondary primary points. So that is a good strategy for Lookout Sir, and also protecting your backfield for that cheap 80-point unit. Here's one of the best things to do with a Rhino. So if you have a unit that you know is going to be really easy to kill with Overwatch, or with somebody that's going to be able to flamer them, auto hitting, whatever it may be. Let's pretend these guys have 4 flamers and I want to charge them with my Repentia. Before they do that, I'm going to target my Rhino to declare the charge first. Now the opponent has to decide, am I going to overwatch the Rhino and potentially kill the Rhino, which is fine if the Rhino's doing his job, or I'm going to save the CP to try and overwatch the sisters if the Rhino fails its charge. So if I can get the Rhino, because the Rhino moves 12, it's super, super fast. So if the Rhino is literally all the way back here, it moves up 12 inches, it only has a 5-inch charge. So the opponent has to decide, am I going to let this happen? He has to. There's no choice. I'm going to declare my Rhino as a charge target first into that unit. He's then going to decide, all right, I'm not going to overwatch. Hopefully you fail the charge. Well, guess what? You didn't fail your charge. So now the Rhino charges 1 inch away, let's say right about there. Now your Repentia can charge in and be safe from overwatch. So your Repentia then charge in, nuke the squad. Squad dies. And now the Repentia can then, consolidate, pile in, do whatever they got to do over to there. Or the Rhino can charge in, pile in 3 inches, attack, consolidate 3 inches, and go right there. Then the Repentia follow up if they didn't interrupt, which most of the time they won't, hopefully. If you know they don't have any CP or whatever, you can do this. But if they do a CP, you probably don't want to do this. Then the Repentia pile in, consolidate behind this Rhino. So now it's really hard to see the Repentia behind the Rhino. Good little strategy. So let's go back. This works for any transport vehicle that you have. Land Raider, Dreadclaw, really anything that you have a vehicle that has done its job or not really doing anything right now. It can then charge before your unit that you really want to not get overwatched or even shot at to charge next. So they charge first, then the other unit charges afterwards. That's going to help out with overwatching. This is great with characters, right? If you know that they're not a melee beat stick in combat, you can have your Rhino just try and tie them up as much as possible. So if my Rhino charges this Psyker, right? The Psyker now is locked in combat. So if I tow him, he can't move, can't do anything. The Psyker then has to decide on his turn, is he going to fall back? Or is he going to stay in combat, be stuck there, and have to cast all of his powers from right there? Because if a Psyker falls back, he cannot cast Psychic powers. That's for anybody. If a unit, right? If you charge it and the unit is a Psyker unit like a Grey Knight, the Grey Knights cannot fall back and cast Psychic powers. Same with any Psyker that you attach. So if you have a regular buffing normal character and you just want to charge because you know that character can't really do anything to your toughness 7, 10 wound Rhino, it's going to charge that character, just be a fucking nuisance, and just be like, all right, do something. My Rhino's just chilling, it's not really doing anything, I don't care about its attacks, you're stuck in combat. Let's say the character has an insane gun. Great, I'm going to charge a character. Character now can't shoot that gun anymore. Unless he falls back, shoots, spends CP, spends strats, whatever you got to do. But tying up that one character that you know is not going to kill your Rhino is a really, really good strategy. And that's not just for psychic characters, that's for really any character that you know can't kill it in combat. You're not charging fucking Mortarion or Drago with a Rhino that you know the Rhino's just going to die, right? You're literally charging up and be like, all right, there you go. Deal with it, all right? That is another tactic with the characters. This happened to me at LVO. So with the Rhino, you can actually use it. Now with the 10th edition, it might be a little bit different, but Rhino can contest objectives. Let's say he has one model on that objective just on his turn that he's trying to hold it out for one more turn before he moves it off and does whatever. This Rhino can move up or advance onto that objective and just contest it. So now we're tied. If he's not OBSEC, I'm not OBSEC, but we have 1-1. Now during his turn, he loses out this objective. That's a 4-point swing because now my Rhino is contesting this objective. I did this against an Orc player. He had a ruin kind of like this on the objective. You can't really see it, so I'll put it this way. So he had the ruin like this on the objective. He had Ghazghkull camping the objective right there. Now Ghazghkull is a vehicle, so he has to walk all the way around the ruins to get to me. So I ran my Rhino up to the objective and I tied Ghazghkull being on the objective. So I stopped him from getting those primary points on his turn. Gaz then tried to move out to get back here. He then left the objective and he tried to charge, but he failed to charge because it was like a 9-inch charge because he had to walk all the way around. So now Gaz is further away off the objective, and now if he didn't put anybody else on the objective, you now technically have that objective on your turn. So you can contest objectives with Rhinos. It counts as another model. In 10th edition, might even count for more models. So let's say you have 5 models, you need that extra model on the objective to either take it over or contest. Let's say you have 3 guys, he has 3 guys, he has 4 guys on the objective. You need this one model to contest the objective. It's going to do that for you. It's a little bit more tankier than a regular, repention check. So the Rhino or any vehicle that you have could contest objectives for you, or even hold them, or take them, or whatever it's got to do. So Rhinos being able to do that is super clutch in some games. So that's super fun. What also happened, I don't know if I have this next, but when Gaz was here, Gaz then walked away and he put Gretchen on the objective, which Gretchen are OBSEC. So Gretchen was doing get the good bits. My Rhino, kamikaze it is, charged the Gretchen, killed 2-1 maybe? It failed morale. Some Gretchen ran away. During his turn, Gretchen, or really any unit, cannot perform the action while being in combat. So he couldn't do get the good bits. He can't fall back and get the good bits. He literally can't do anything on this objective because the fucking Rhino is in combat with his Gretchen. So I'm stopping get the good bits for like 3 turns. Gaz is literally running all the way around this big ass ruin to try and get to my Rhino. My Rhino stopped Gaz first turn, charged the Gretchen second turn, and stopped like 7 to 12 points for 2 turns just for being on the table. So that Rhino saved me from playing that Orcs play at LVO by doing so many primary and secondary points for the Orcs. So that was a really good clutch play by the Rhino. All right, the next best thing about a vehicle or Rhino or any transport is that it can actually get you secondary points. So for Death Guard, for example, is you can actually get the end game objective by having it in contagion range of objective, being in a table cord, wherever it may be. But if you guys are just using it for, let's say, engage is a really good one. So if you, let's pretend this is the line, right? So this is the center 30-inch line. Your Rhino has to be 3 inches on the other side of it in the this table quarter, 3 inches in this table quarter if you're in all 4 table quarters, or 6 inches if you're in 3 table quarters. So if you have a Rhino and you want to get it in that quarter, you basically either run it or advance it, but it's pretty fast, it's 12 inches. So you just have to be outside of 6 inches or completely within 6 inches of this table quarter. So now this vehicle, all the way in the back, as far as it possibly can be, is now scoring you engage. So that opponent has to decide, am I going to spend resources to try and kill this Rhino, which isn't really doing anything besides scoring me engage. It's not threatening him, it's not really doing anything, it's kind of just chilling. If you have a wall that you set up here, it's almost unkillable. It's literally just camping right here, getting you 2 to 3 points every single game, every single turn because of engage. Same thing with the Death Guard, is at the end of the game, if the Death Guard is like right here and it has to get all the way over there just to be in this quarter, it can then on the last turn advance and get to that quarter, so that way it's by that objective in the corner to get contagion range, and it's in that table quarter, so it counts for the second game or secondary end game objective. So the Rhinos getting you points is clutch. The one secondary Auspex scan, if you read it, it says any unit from your army can do the action. So the Rhino on one of the missions can actually do the action with Auspex scan. So it completes at the end of the turn. So the Rhino is literally just inside the building, doing its job, launching out shit, people inside of the Rhino. One turn, it's going to do Auspex scan. Maybe next turn, it runs to the next objective, waits a turn, and then does Auspex scan on that objective. Or in the center objective, if your turn, second turn, you then walk out to the center and do Auspex scan in the center. So the Rhino can do a lot of secondary points, not even thinking about it. But if you're planning your army around engaged or behind enemy lines or whatever it may be, you can use this to your advantage to get to that. So with this, right, the Venom, whatever the fuck this thing's called, the drop pod, it's not the actual thing, I put a lot of legs on it. But the drop claw is super clutch with behind enemy lines, because any drop pod that you have, with this thing, it's a vehicle that can move afterwards. It's a transport, so it can get behind enemy lines, drop off the infantry. That's 2 people behind enemy lines, so that's actually 3 points per turn. If you're putting it behind a wall, even though it's this fucking tall, it still blocks line of sight from this ruin. So if this ruin's all the way in the back here, let's say your opponent set this up, he left the backfield pretty open, this thing can come down right about there and then not be shot, because this ruin is like, if they can see the edge of it, then yeah, you can see it. But if you're behind it, and he can't draw a line of sight to the vehicle at all, it can't shoot the drop pod. So the guys get out, 3 inches, and they're just kind of chilling there. It's 2 units behind enemy lines, so you're getting 3 points for behind enemy lines for that vehicle dropping in and dropping off a unit. So vehicles definitely help out with secondaries. If you think about it, my Rhino is most of the time lives most of the game. It's usually one of the last things to die because the opponent has nothing else to shoot. So they're like, I guess I'll kill Rhino. So it's definitely good for secondaries. All right, so this next tactic is if you have kind of like an Alpha Strike build and you really want to get to the opponent's face. I ran a game the other day with Mortarion, and Mortarion actually brings 1 to 2 Rhinos with a bunch of dudes inside of it. You can bring the Drop Claw if you really want to do super Alpha Strike. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to have the opponent freak the fuck out because there's so much shit in his face. So if you have your 12-inch move vehicles, right, they're running, like they're advancing. So they're advancing, let's say, 2 to 6 inches, and they're just hopping up behind a ruin, as far as they possibly can. So that way the opponent has to work to try and get shots onto that vehicle. But you have basically 30 dudes in 3 vehicles running up the board, while you have maybe Mortarion flying up as well. So Mortarion's then running up, and Mortarion can't be line of sight blocked, so you can always see Mortarion. So are they going to choose, all right, I'm going to try and shoot Mortarion and kill Mortarion? Sure, he's probably going to soak up the entire fucking army. But now you have 30 dudes getting out of the Rhinos to then just go out and kill whatever they want to kill on your turn. So that's an example if you have something big like Mortarion. But if you don't have Mortarion, and you're playing something like World Eaters or even Grey Knights or Death Guard, you're kind of going to run up as much as possible, kind of get behind ruins as much as possible, so that way it's really hard for the opponent to shoot and blow your vehicles up. But you're rushing your opponent with your super fast vehicles in the metal boxes, so that way they have to kill the boxes before they kill the guys inside. So it's going to take a lot of firepower to kill the guys. When they do kill the guys, you have a couple options. The one option is you can put them in cover, so you have to get out completely within 3 inches. Now, if you roll a 1, they die. But, some people roll 1s, it's fine. But they get out, and now they're in cover. So whatever shoots at them can be in cover. So that definitely helps out. Let's say this thing blows up, does whatever it does. That thing's gone. These guys are now 3 inches more forward and in cover. There's another option is if this guy ran up, let's say on here, he then blows up, you can spend 1 CP for emergency disembark and get out 6 inches away. Let's say you have a unit of 10 in here, and you really needed to get on this objective. So this guy ran up, you know, super aggressive. These guys spent 1 CP, got out completely within 6 inches. So they're getting onto this objective to either contest, control, or do whatever you have to do to this objective. But they're hopping out 6 inches. Let's say 1 or 2 of them die because now you roll 1s and 2s, they die. So let's say you kill 3 guys. That's fine. You still have 7 guys in the opponent's face on the objective to either do an action or then move out and charge something. So that's a 6-inch disembark compared to 3 inches, and then they can still move up 6 inches or 12 if they're, you know, the jump pack infantry or the interceptors, and then charge. So let's say a 7-inch charge. So let's say the vehicle blew up back here. You're now charging something 21 inches away. So that's a good little strategy if you really want to get out as far as possible. Let's say there's nothing else to shoot the vehicle. The last thing, or the last couple things, shot the vehicle to blow up the vehicle. All right, great. Do you have anything else to shoot? He's like, no. I'm like, all right, I'm probably going to emergency disembark because I really need to get on this objective to get primary. So that's an extra 4 points on primary. I get primary. I'm now in your face. I then get to move up and charge and kill you with my guys. So that's super good. So getting Alpha Strike is huge with Rhinos. And then also the disembark when they die, and also the 6-inch for the emergency disembark as well. Here's a new thing you can do with Arks of Omen is reserve. So you can reserve for free now. So whether you have a Storm Raven coming in from reserves and it's a transport, the thing about the flyers is you have to wait till turn 2. So if the flyer comes in turn 2, you can't get your guys out till turn 3. That's a little different with the Storm Raven is when they fly on, there's guys inside here. If it doesn't blow up, it can then hop out, you know, pretty far if you have interceptors in here, and then they can, you know, charge, do whatever they got to do. If you have a dreadnought in here, it can then go out and do whatever it's got to do. But you can also reserve a Rhino or a Razorback. So if a Rhino or Razorback comes in from reserves, you have another metal box that you can basically have protect your 10-man infantry unit or some characters in there or whatever it may be. So let's say you have your guys come in 6 inches behind a wall, right? In your opponent's deployment zone or area, you know, not inside the deployment zone, but your opponent's side. It walks in 6 inches, and now your Rhino's just chilling there protecting your guys. If you guys walk on, they can get shot from, you know, different angles. But if the Rhino's there, it has to put more emphasis into killing the Rhino to get to the guys inside. Now, if the guys inside are like Repentia or something, they then just launch out of the Rhino and just murder whatever the hell they touch. So a Rhino can be a good reserve unit if you really want to bring them in from reserves. If they have a lot of shooting coming in, there's not a lot of good terrain set up on the board that you really want to kind of hide it. So you can kind of walk them in from reserves, have the guys kind of just chill. Now in 10th edition, I think the thing is you can have fire points in the vehicles again, so you can shoot out of them. I don't know. We'll know when 10th edition comes out, but if that's the case, these guys are going to be reserved a lot because they're basically going to be walking on. 2 multi-melts are just going to shoot out of the top of the Rhino, blow something up. All the guys inside are still going to be safe, and then they have to blow up the Rhino to kind of continue. So these things, I think, in 10th are going to be insane if they have the fire points. I don't think the Storm Raven's going to have any fire points. I don't know if the Land Raider's going to have any fire points, but maybe definitely some vehicles are going to have fire points. Hopefully it's the Rhino, the little things up front. They then can just walk in from the reserves, shoot whatever the crazy weapons it has inside, and then just chill for a turn. Flamers would be really cool coming out of the Rhino. If you have a purgation squad coming up and then just all the flamers auto-hitting from the Rhino is going to be really cool. So coming in from reserves is going to be the last thing that I would say is good for the Rhino, coming in and just killing with anything inside of it. Some vehicles like Eldar, maybe Dark Eldar, but Chaos, they have the even Space Marines, they have the Deep Strike rule. So when they come in via Deep Strike. So when they're coming in via Deep Strike, they have to be 9 inches away from enemy deployments. But when you come out of the vehicle, you have to disembark 3 inches. You can then charge after that, but when you measure your 9 inches, it has to be from the guys disembarking. So what you could do is you can have, let's say, your drop claw come down within 9 inches, and then your guys get out right out the side of it within 9 inches. So they're both equally within 9 inches. Now your drop claw can charge before your unit. If you really want your drop claw in combat, the vehicle then can try and roll a 9, right, to try and get in combat to stop, whatever the overwatch was. But again, they have to choose, all right, am I going to overwatch this or am I going to overwatch the guys? But if this guy gets into combat first, and let's say these guys fail, this thing can pile in, consolidate, and kind of block the movement / charge from the other units, and it could tie up units in combat. So these guys potentially could be safe because the drop claw charged in first. You could do the same thing with a wall. So let's say the wall is here. The drop claw comes down outside of the wall like this. These guys get on the other side of the wall outside 3 inches. They're both equally within 9 inches still. One's on the other side of the wall, one's on this side of the wall. The drop claw pod can charge. If it fails to charge and these guys fail to charge, at least these guys are somewhat protected behind the wall. All right, so these guys getting out within 3 inches of the drop pod, coming down turn 1 or turn 2, they're behind the wall, so that way they can charge and be safe from either overwatch because you can't see, or if you fail to charge, they then have to move up and charge you, or move up, try and get line of sight to try and shoot you. So that's a little example of trying to use the terrain to your benefit, especially with the drop claw. So that's the last tactic for the drop claw. All right, dirtbags, and that's going to wrap up the how-to tactical video for the transports, Rhinos, Storm Ravens, drop pod, and we didn't really talk about the Land Raider, but the Land Raider is basically the same thing. So hopefully this gets to you before 10th edition. If you guys like it, definitely hit the like and subscribe. More videos are going to be coming out very soon. I'm trying to get as many battle reports as I can before 9th edition ends. 10th edition is coming out so soon, so all the content creators like, what the fuck are we going to do? I do appreciate click on the video. Let me know in the comments below what I can do better, what you liked. Join the Discord, go buy some shit, and then hopefully we'll see you in another video soon.